Test, test, test. What up? Hello? Hello? Okay. Should work now. Hola, amigos. Still no sound? Please say no. I don't know why it does that. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's nice. Beautiful. All right. It works. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah, you might need to refresh it. That's true. All right. So we're going to watch a little bit of the footage by Hand of Blood, a German streamer, which was uploaded by Cyrus Resnick. Please hop onto his channel and give him a like. Not Hand of Blood, but I just, you know, leave this in the background so we got something to watch. So this is just me telling you a little bit about my experience. I took some notes. So if you got any questions about Gothic, the Gamescom, anything else, please let me know. First and foremost, cheers. I raise my glass. All right. So again, this is a narration. I tell you what happened on Gamescom, what I got told. Last time I did more like a scripted video. And this scripted video, pre-recorded, it will eventually come with my final thoughts, my final criticism. It's gonna be a short video. I really want to pinpoint out what's wrong, what's still wrong, and what needs to change, in my opinion. But this time, you know, this little video, this live stream here, well, we're going to talk freely. It's a Q&A. I tell you a little bit about what I've seen. And yeah, with that out of the way, let's begin. Let me set up the chat real quick. Okay. OBS. Okay. So, yeah, I attended Gamescom. I was there on Thursday. Yeah. So it was the first day which was public to, well, you know, the regular people. And dude, I hate being in a place with a bunch of people. I don't like that. It gives me the ick. And even though it was Thursday and it was, you know, like the middle of the week, essentially, there were so many people there. It was, damn. So I was really, really, really glad that I didn't go there on Fridays or the rest of the weekend, for that matter. Awaken Cyrus. I hope you're not mad that I take your video, your Hand of Blood re-upload. So I want something in the back so we can watch that. Oh, I wanted to say something about this part. Yeah, so we will freeze frame this for a second. Please take a look at those really, really cool armors, so you can see the water mage on the right. I think it's a good design. You've got the rogue in the middle. I like that one too. I think this is the, I want to say like the medium armor. And to the left, that's not a guard. That is the King's Guard, the royal armor, which is awesome. This armor looks really, really good. Okay, let's read the chat a little bit. Anyone know which engine they are making this on? Unreal? Yeah, it's Unreal 5. They started with Unreal 4, and then they switched to Unreal 5. So I think that was a good call. Yeah, sometimes I will stop and read the chat a little bit. But okay, let's start. So you all know by now, you know, the rough outline of my criticism. By the way, if the music is too loud, let me know. Which is essentially combat, AI, and my last video I was talking about the atmosphere, right? And the atmosphere is really something that, you know, I was very emotional when I did my last video. It was an emotional response, and I really focused, I want to say too much, on this one sentence that Daniel Candil said, where he said, you know, we gotta respect the changes at maximum and all that kind of stuff. I might have gotten it into, you know, I picked it up in a weird way, but we're gonna talk about this. So, I was lucky enough that, how do I say this? That a godly, transcendent, ascended being basically stashed away some epic loot for me at the Gamescom. Because if you wanted to play the demo, and a new type of demo, I will explain in a bit, you had to wait 2 hours. It was a huge ass line. It was cool. The little area that they had was cool. It was all, you know, kind of medieval type of like decoration and stuff. They had like a weird contraption where you could test your strength, you know, by swinging a hammer, like, you know, from the fair, to test your strength. And then this little thing goes up, you know, and then it's like ding ding ding. That was pretty cool. Then you could shoot a bow and all that kind of stuff. You could win prizes, actually. Awesome. Okay, so you had basically 2 versions to play at Gamescom, which was first the Nyrus demo, and another one which I don't even remember what it was called, like a playground, something like that, which was essentially an extended starting area, so you could go down to the bridge near the old camp, and a little bit further even, you could go into the forest, the first forest that you could basically manage to get into. And what's essentially happening in this demo is that you had these weird... I gotta go back a little bit. Yeah, these statues wearing the armors. So you would stand near them, you would click, you know, the use button, and then essentially the nameless hero is getting all the skills and the weapons which are typical for this type of archetype that you're focusing on. So basically he's looking right now at the bandit. If you press use, you get a longbow, I think it is. You get some weapons, different types of weapons. You get the armor. If you click on the water mage, you will get some spells, and if you click on the left statue, you will get I think it's two-hander and a crossbow. So me, who has played the Nyrus demo kind of extensively, I want to say, I obviously went for the water mage. I wanted to know how magic feels. This was my main focus. The problem with all of that, you only had 15 minutes. So I was getting in there with a little notebook. I barely could write something down. But the infos that I took, they were essentially, you know, what led me to my conclusion here. So 50 minutes, if you think that's a lot of time, no bro. I skipped through all the dialogue, which was essentially pretty funny actually. And then I went straight down the path. Because this checkpoint that you can see right here is not the only one. There are 3 checkpoints with these statues, and each time you click on a different statue, you know, in the following checkpoint, you get better spells, and you get better at fighting with your melee weapons or your ranged weapons. So it would upgrade every time. Here's the thing, I only had time to get to the second checkpoint. So I was essentially fighting in mid-game, not end-game. Yeah, so what can I say? I obviously used a little bit of melee combat, and even if they might have tuned it, I didn't feel it. So to me, melee combat was unchanged. We're talking Nyrus demo and the Playground demo for the Gamescom. Unchanged. It's still the same. We still got a problem where if you focus on an enemy and you want to switch the target while in focus, you have either to scroll up or down or use the tabulator button, right? Which I find a little bit unintuitive, and I was wondering what was that game that I played where it was basically you moving the mouse while in focus, and I think it was Witcher 3. That feels way more organic and way more intuitive, and I told some people who were there and who probably have a little bit of influence on that, but I don't know. So there's another problem with melee combat, and it's the combos. This time around, I really had problems chaining them together, right? It was you know, you've got the heavy hit, you have the forward strike, the left and the right strike. This is basically how you can fight. We all know this from the Nyrus demo, so I don't want to go into depth here, but chaining those still feels clunky. Again, no change, right? So now we're talking a little bit about magic. Magic feels good, the effects are nice, but sometimes the effects are over the top. I haven't used Rain of Fire myself, but there was a video on GameStar and Hand of Blood. I don't know if he used it, if he's going to use it, but I saw it on GameStar, and the effects were way too much for my taste. I like it when there is like subtle effects, even if it's a Rain of Fire, you know, instead of just slightly smoldering bits of pieces. It really looked like there's magma, molten rocks in your vicinity. I didn't really like that, but it felt good. Free aiming spells is really nice. You know, we didn't have that in Gothic 1 and 2. You could argue, you know, it's Gothic 3 that introduced a free aim, but we're not talking about this game on this channel anymore. Maybe we will in the future. So some spells can be charged, and the example that I had was the fireball. I don't remember if it was the great fireball, because if you remember in the basic game there is, by the way, that doesn't look good. It's like jittering all around. You had the regular fireball, which you could just throw, right? It was straight up a good spell up until late mid-game. And then you had the greater fireball, which you could charge. So I'm not really sure what I was using. I think it was the regular fireball. And you have potentially around your crosshair, or little point, you know, in the middle. It's a crosshair, nevertheless. You had like 3 dots under your crosshair, which indicates, well, this spell can be charged 3 times, right? Charging a spell took a little long, but that was just my impression. But worst thing that I encountered was that the trajectory of the fireball needs to be planned meticulously. because the fireball is really, really slow. It's really slow. I was at the second checkpoint, so like mid-game, essentially. I went a little bit into the woods and I fought some... I saw some orc dogs, right? By the way, orc dogs are fucking massive. You can see it in the footage from the Gamescom. And I hit them with a fully charged fireball, and it was really a tiny amount of damage, I want to say. So then I ran back because obviously they were following me after some time. And I wanted to charge my fireball again, but I got disrupted by them hitting me, right? So that's something that I would work on as well. I don't know if this is the case for all the spells, that you can be interrupted, but it should give you like, what is it called? Invincibility frames? Iframes, it's called for Dark Souls, right? When you do the roll. And I would, like, you shouldn't be invincible, but you shouldn't be staggered. That's what I mean. Exactly. So, running around with Ice Arrow, running around with Fire Arrow, that was kind of cool. But the heavy hitters, in that case, you know, again, the charged Fireball, that was very slow. So I hope that they changed it. Like, you could literally watch that ball of fire go over the screen. Which was a little bit, you know, I don't know. So in the end, me using magic also against regular wolves, I had at some point to use melee weapons. I think it's kind of fair to mix it because I like the, you know, I like the playstyle of some kind of a battle mage. But in the end, there's people out there who want to go for the pure mage playthrough. And that could be a little hard, right? As you can see right now on the screen, here's also like the runes. I didn't pick that up, that you can actually see the runes on this checkpoint. And to be honest, like the rune effect, when it's swirling around you, but this is old news. I didn't really like that. It should be in your hand, right? So again, the magic in general felt cool if you fight against appropriate enemies. When we're talking about mid-game, it's wolves, it's I want to say lizards, lurkers, stuff like that. Unfortunately, I couldn't fight a lizard with a fireball. So I don't know about that. I'm very, very sorry. I am not as big as fucking Hand of Blood. So I had, you know, the time that everybody else was given. So you could just rush through. So that's the magic system, right? Again, kind of cool, but it needs some tuning as well. At least for those charged spells, I think. I saw footage from the GameStar interview where Reinhard Pollice is essentially playing the game, and he used Rain of Fire. And he was not staggered, but I also think that he wasn't attacked yet. So I don't know. By the way, I think we're going to watch the Gamescom video together. Maybe this week, but that's just not here, not there. Let's check the chat a little bit before we go into the next subject, which, oh, you know what? We're going to talk about it right now. Ranged weapons. So we only had the bow in the Nyrus demo and only as an untrained fighter, right? I criticized the ranged, the bow combat for it being too slow as well. Like, you aim and then you draw the string, and drawing the string, you're drawing what feels for forever. It really feels like a long time is passing, and in the heat of battle, even from a distance, it needs to be a little faster, right? You could argue, okay, you're an untrained ranged dude, you probably need to fight with your sidearm as well. I get that, sure. But then I came to the second checkpoint, and I became a rogue with a longbow, and I was a trained bowman, a trained archer. and I went for some, what was it, bloodflies, I think. So bloodflies, as you know, like in the original game, they're always skittering and flying about, right? So they're always moving, and it's hard to actually hit them. But when I hit them, it did a good amount of damage. I mean, you're trained, you got a longbow, bloodflies in that point of time are a piece of cake for you. But still, you know, drawing the bow still felt too long. Crossbows, on the other hand, just like in the original, do more damage, but it takes longer to reload them. I think the fantasy is alright with that one. I don't have damage numbers, so I couldn't really test it, you know, situation to situation, because 50 minutes, again, you try to focus on so many different things. In the end, I couldn't really figure out one thing. I just wanted to get the big picture, the grand picture, but even that, even many things eluded me when I did that. And there's also UI elements for your ammunition. I think we saw that in the Nirus demo as well. Those will be toggleable, so you can say, you know, I want it minimal. As you can see right now on the screen, you've got the little crosshair and it says 91 arrows, and you can go into your options and say, I want none of that shit, which is cool, you know. Many people are purists, many people want the spirit of the old game to carry over into the new era, and I totally get that. But having options, bro, is cool. When it comes to something like a minimap or such things, you know, like the huge quality of life improvements, that's where I say, stop it. I don't want that shit. That's not Gothic-like. But a little hint for your how many bolts or arrows you have, brother. Voila, please, let us have that. That's okay. That's okay, really. So now I'm tending to the chat a little bit. I saw something. What I want to say is that the state of the game is very disturbing. Extremely bad AI, bad animations, bad combat, severe issues with lighting. That was Torment. There are some things actually that I want to address in the next segment. But we also talked about that during my Nirus demo playthroughs. It was 2, I think, or 3 actually. And you are kind of right for most things. Animations. So I was criticizing how fast animations go, as you can see right now on the screen. The Nameless Hero wants to open something. It took way longer in the first iteration of the Nirus demo, so they changed it. Pickup animations are not very fast, but they're way faster, and I'm okay with that. When it comes to the regular animations, I'm not sure what you guys expect. This is not Red Dead Redemption 2, where, I don't know, I think 4,000 people worked on that, 5,000. You simply cannot expect such a high polish on a game that is made by a few people. Well, if we compare both dev studios, right? And to be honest, there are some wacky animations. When I was running around, there was like a cool change in a running animation, which would change depending on how steep it is, right? Just like in real life, so they were aiming for this kind of realism, and I liked that. It was cool. In general, the animations of you drawing the string and stuff like that, it was a little bit jittery, we saw that. But in general, I don't really mind it that much, right? It is what it is. Again, you cannot expect like the highest form of polish, but I get that sometimes it looks a little bit wacky. That's where I agree. But to be honest, I'm not playing. I gotta be careful how I say this. I'm not playing a Gothic game for the highest visual quality. There are other things that which I named earlier, are way more important for me. For example, you know, combat, be it ranged or melee, and the AI, as you said. But we're talking about this. So, Disaster says, true, the game has a problem with basic mechanics. The most important thing is the hitboxes are broken. The character enters the monster and vice versa, amateurish. Yeah, this is indeed a problem, and it is tied to combat. One thing that needs to be spot on, where I do expect a higher polish, is the combat. You see, I draw the line between things that I'm anticipating when it comes to combat, and this is because the combat in Gothic 1 and Gothic 2, I praised it so many times, I'm going to say it again. It's visceral, it's fast, it's on point. If we're, you know, see the combat and analyze the combat with the fact in mind that it has been developed back in the day when it was 2001, bro, that combat was phenomenal. And I still love to play it. Like, when I play Gothic, I enjoy the combat. The melee combat, right? So, User Knight says, good animation and combat are the heart of having a good Gothic experience. I want to say 50-50. More like combat is very, like I said, it's very important. Animations, sure, they're important, and they're feeling sometimes off when you do something a little unpredictable. Like, for example, I was going down this way that you can see right now, and maybe you can see it, but it's night, so you probably can't make out the details. And the slope of the way changes a little bit from time to time. So in 1 second, he is running regularly, and in the next second, where it's a little bit steeper, he changes into that steep run, I wanna say, where you see a little bit stooping to one side. I don't really know how to say, but you know how you would basically run down a fucking hill to not fall on your face, right? I hope we can see that. And the intermission between both animations, that looks a little bit wonky in my eyes. So that is something they could change. Hitboxes, on the other hand, is combat. This is where I draw the line. That needs to be polished, brother. User Knight says, G2 has perfect combat. That's true. They tweaked it a little bit from Gothic 1 to Gothic 2. It's like, let's not lie to ourselves, it's basically the same system, right? But they tweaked it. They polished it a little bit, and it's just great. Another thing that I didn't really pick up on is that you can do that in Gothic 1 and 2, right? If you're about to... You draw your weapon and you want to hit your enemy, you can cancel the animation. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, he's running right now. See that? That's what I'm talking about. When he switches the animation styles, that looks a little bit wonky. Don't get me wrong, I like that there's like 2 different animations depending on how steep it is. But them changing so fast doesn't really look good. Oh, that's cool. There's a hut there. See, I didn't even go there. That's probably the hut from, that's occupied by Redford and Drax, right? Must be. That's cool. I was so focused on going down that road, I, you know, didn't really see those things. But yeah, hitboxes are important, and also that you're able to disrupt your hit and go into the parry stance. That is something that doesn't really work. Oh, bro, I gotta change to the next video. Here we go. Thanks, Cyrus, once again. So you should be able to basically decide other ways when you see when you're in the heat of battle, you know, and there's an incoming attack. You should be able to say, okay, I want to block this next swing, right? Even if you started already swinging yourself. That's something that I agree on. So Lucas Oliveira says large fireball and large firestorm can be charged in Gothic 2. That is true. We've got MB. Did you get to talk to some people who work on the game? Yes, I did. And we're talking about this later on. Disaster. I would expect these animations to be smooth and to smoothly transition from attacking the opponent to him taking damage and not to skip because there are no intermediate frames. Okay. Then there is, oh my god, I'm going to butcher this name, Majdin. Movement needs to be way more responsive and combat should have rhythm to it or some kind of timing. Best combat from PB game was G2 and Risen 1. Yeah. To be honest, I don't really remember Risen 1. It was a little simplified, I want to say. It was on point, but it was simplified. You don't have like the directional swings, right? Well. Okay. So, yeah, oh yeah, I agree. The rhythm. You know, the combat. Oh, this is something where I need to go back a little bit. This is, yeah, this is very interesting. We're going to talk about this. Let me just rearrange myself. The rhythm, the fast and visceral swings that you can put on your enemy in Gothic 1 and Gothic 2 is basically the bread and butter. If they want to recreate the original feeling when it comes to the combat, they need to work on that, definitely. And sadly, the rhythm part doesn't really feel pronounced. I don't want to say it's not there, because you definitely can mess up the timing, but it's not as pronounced as in Gothic 1 or 2. To a certain degree, I get that, but it's so essential to the fighting system that really gives you the edge on some fights if you've mastered the combat, right? This is what somebody wrote that under my last video, I think. If you're good enough mechanically, you as a player, you can challenge creatures and enemies in the game that are probably way out of your league at that point in the game through sheer mechanical skill. And I'm hyping this up like I'm talking about some Dark Souls level 1 run. It's not that, but you know what I'm saying, right? If you've got the skill, you can challenge enemies that are way above you, right? If they don't have this weird strength threshold or damage threshold that is in, I don't even know, is that in mods or is that in the vanilla version? Because I'm only playing with mods and sometimes I take footage with the vanilla version, so I'm not sure about that. But yeah, the mechanical skill of the player should be respected at maximum, like Daniel Kandir said. And I don't feel that yet, which is a shame, actually. I really hope that they're working on this. But let's talk about different things. Oh yeah, Disaster. He's got a nice armor that's basically like heavy guard armor, heavily modified, or it's the royal guard armor that we only saw in the very first scene where we are thrown into the barrier. It is more like yellowish golden. There are mods that implement that into the game. I think it's somewhere hidden in the game files, for sure. But maybe it was introduced with the sequel, the Gothic sequel. I'm not sure. It's a very cool looking armor, and I hope that we will get our hands on that. And also in Gothic 2, you know, if there is a remake to the sequel, Gothic 2, I would like to find that as well. It's looking really, really neat. Pansalts has arrived. Hey team, hey Vertigo. Greetings, Pansalts. How are you doing, my friend? So let's talk about the next big thing. It's the AI. Oh boy. Oh no, before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about what we see on screen right now, because we have a glossary where you can, is that how you say it? Glossary?
Glossary.
Yeah, it's a glossary. Damn. So glossary, I was actually looking forward to something like this. I also wanted like a bestiary where you can look up creatures that you found, and there's a little bit, some information, so maybe a little bit of lore sprinkled in there. I really would like to have a bestiary as well. But a glossary is really, really cool. So it gives you like a quick overview about the characters that you meet, where you meet them, what kind of quests might be associated to them. So new players to the franchise, you know, new people, the newcomers, they have a little bit of a smoother way of trying to figure out what's going on. And this is an addition. We didn't have that, obviously, back in the day. But that is a thing that I don't care about. Because this is also something that could contain little lore bits and pieces, which I'm always up for. And it doesn't take away from the original experience as long as they don't spoil too many things in this glossary. So, let's move on, people. The AI. The AI. Oh my god. So many people have seen it by now. We had comments about the AI. I don't want to say, like Tormund says, it's extremely bad, but it has issues, definitely. And these issues were known back in the Nyrus demo, actually. Nyrus demo, if you go back, there was a situation when I was fighting against scavengers, I think. It was up on the plateau, near the entrance of the abandoned mine. And I said to myself, you know, it's 3 of them, so I go on this rock and I just shoot them. And that's what the AI couldn't handle. So in the original, some creatures could jump a little bit. So if there was a height they could manage to jump on, they would do that. Humans obviously could jump wherever you could go, right? If you're up on a ladder, they could go after you. If you're jumping on a hut, they could jump on a hut as well. It also was a sense of, you know, you cannot really escape unless you're using your acrobatics and just, you know, jump away like 3 miles and they will stop following you. But if you don't have these things and it's just, you know, eye for an eye and you see that you cannot really manage the fight, well, you gotta get going. Right? And you couldn't really escape them too easily. Which gave you this, you know, it also plays into atmosphere, obviously. It gives you this sense of dread, you know, if you engage in combat that you can't manage, well, you're fucked. Quite frankly, you're fucked. One addition to the glossary. In this glossary, it is completely inappropriate to paste Diego's model. Would be better if it was drawn. Yes. That is a nitpick that I would definitely welcome. To have more like yeah, like a diary entry. I'd like that. Illustrations would look so much better. It would add to the medieval theme. Yeah. One thing is to know what to change, and other is to know how to change it. I wonder if they have those people for movement, combat, and AI. They do have those people. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know. I think they're still looking for people, right? Like there's open job applications. I'm not sure about this. But let's continue with the AI. So again, when you're on that rock and you're unreachable for the creatures just, you know, it's like you deactivated their brain. They don't run away. They don't try to get to you. Maybe they go back into their old movement, to their old path. And, you know, they just regularly, not even running away, they're just turning around and go wherever they came from. Which is not cool. When I played the new demo at Gamescom, I was fighting some wolves. They were at the very beginning. I had a bow. I was drawing the string. And it took some time for them to react to them being hit, right? So the original, when you attack an animal, it immediately turns around. And sometimes it does like this threatening call that they do. They screech, they howl, they bark, they scream. And then they run after you. And sometimes when you hit them, they come directly. Like, at the same second they get hit, they set eyes on you and focus you, and they're just blazing after you, right? So you really know what to anticipate. Again, in the demo, it took some time for the wolves to react. Do you like this? Don't you like this? It kind of depends on the taste. If you're like, yeah, I want to cheese my enemies a little more, or you're on the logical side, you know, maybe it takes some time for a being to realize that it's hit by an arrow. These are two different trains of thoughts, but it's not like in the original. That's all I can say. It might be good in some situations where you really want to cheese your opponent a little bit, but it is what it is, man. But you can see that the AI is a little slow when it comes to these things. I do think it takes a little bit. It takes you a little bit out of the experience that you had from Gothic 1 or 2. Let's be honest. I wish it was a little more dangerous, because what we also had in the Nyrus demo is that sometimes the scavengers they seemed a little dumb. They wouldn't really react to you. And this didn't happen all the time. Look, what I'm saying is, like, here and there, I have encountered some problems. It's not like, oh, the AI is fundamentally broken. That's not true. That's not true. I don't wanna do the product injustice. Because it's simply not true. Yeah, you had also transformation scrolls, which look a little bit strange now looking at it. It's like this tar-like substance covering you and all that. I didn't use that, but again. So, fighting creatures, the AI is a little bit broken, and you can definitely change that up to be a little more on point. I didn't fight against humanoid creatures. I think there is even a lack of humanoid creatures. Oh, look at that. There is a skeleton, bro. What the fuck's going on? I haven't seen that. Let's take a look. I haven't seen that footage, actually. You see, okay, if we go back just a little bit. So I don't know if skeletons are using the same AI as humans, but they're clearly a humanoid opponent. And it seems like while one skeleton is attacking us, the other one is kind of struggling. You could argue that this also happens at times in Gothic 1 and 2, but essentially what's going on, if there is multiple enemies around you, they will attack also at the same time. They don't give a flying shit about you. Remember when you're on the quest to retrieve the almanac, right, for Cor Colom, you gotta go across the bridge to the small goblin area. And if you go into this cave, suddenly the goblins come from all angles and they will swarm you. What goblins do, which is pretty neat and pretty cool, is they circle around you. So it's hard to really focus on one of them, which I always liked. It's like we're easy to kill, but it's like the confusion that we will wreak havoc with. And that always worked very well. But if you're fighting against humanoids in Gothic 1, we all know that, in the later chapters when you beam into the old camp and suddenly everybody's hostile. Bro, they go for your throat. They are really killing it, right? By the way, take a look at the size of an orc dog. It's crazy. And he's using the orc hammer, which is a Krush Karok, I think. Looks very awesome. Yeah, but the orc dogs, they have a cool design. They're fucking big. I wonder if there will be warg creatures, the wargs that we can see in Gothic 2, if there is a distinguishing character between both of them, or if it's just the same race and they didn't acknowledge that. It's kind of a community thing that people wondered about. But okay, let's go back to AI. So there was another situation where I was fighting those orc dogs. I told you about that situation where I was handling the fucking fireball, and I didn't really... I couldn't escape, right? There was a situation, I shot my fireball, they came after me, and I was like, dude, my fireball doesn't do enough damage, and it's too unreliable to hit the orc dogs while moving. So I said, I'm gonna reset the fight by running away and resetting their aggro range, right? You can do that in Gothic 1 and 2, and 3 for that matter, right? At some point they lose aggro and they're just going back to their routine. But bro, those orc dogs, they were chasing me like I had a bounty on my head. It was incredible. They were just running after me, and I was like always looking back, you know, here they are. What the fuck's going on with those orc dogs? I mean, they're feral, they're visceral, I get that. They're fucking brutal. But you gotta run across half of the colony to lose their aggro, which is crazy. Oh, this is also nice. An adult scavenger. I mean, we know about this for some time now, but I always like the idea to have multiple stages of one animal. Just as on a side note. And now we're taking a look at the chat once again. Hello. So let's just... Oh, people are writing something. 41 people watching. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Are you good? I'm good. It's just hot. I raise my glass to you. Thanks for watching. Okay. Lucas Oliveira says, the scavenger should be faster when running towards the player. I agree. He was almost charging you, albeit a little bit clumsily, in Gothic 1 and Gothic 2, but I like this. Disaster. I agree with most of what you're saying. It's great that you went there, drew real conclusions, and I hope you told the devs what they needed to know. We will talk about that in a bit. I'll get hired exactly one day before the game's release, then I'll brag that I was part of the team that made the game. Yeah, do that, brother. That would be cool. It's like, you know that Obama meme where he's giving himself like a medal? That's what you can do then, brother. So, you notice that the skeleton has the same movement animations as the goblin. That's a bit alarming. Is it really? I didn't pick up on that. I didn't pick up on that. You know, I don't really care about... You know, if they reuse assets. Look, it's a small studio. They're gonna reuse assets. They want to go down the route that is very effective to them, and I like that. Bro, is that a snapper? Have we seen snappers before, or is it my fucking Alzheimer's that's setting in? My dementia. Why do they have arms? Why do they have this weird beak-style mouth? Oh my, why is he playing at night? I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm sorry. I like lurkers, I like the bloodhounds, I like so many other things, but there are still some design decisions that I cannot really, you know, I don't know how you say, okay, it makes more sense to change it. When I think of Snapper, you know, we're just brainstorming right now. Snapper, it's like a bipedal creature, a dinosaur. It's a little bit like a velociraptor. It's got this huge muscular jaw that's really blocky and anvil-like, really strong jaw, so you know it tears you apart. And it's got no fucking hands. No fucking hands. Oh, look at that. Some ruins. It's got no hands, but it's a good runner. It's got a more or less slender body, but strong jaw and strong legs. So you know it's biting really heavy. And it's probably really fast. And I like that design, but whatever. Okay, let's move on. There's a fencing game called Hellish Quad. It has the most interesting and realistic way of fighting. If it was added to Gothic, it would revolutionize RPGs. Really, I haven't heard of it. Mango Pots. I don't like the state of the game up until this point. Disappointed, not gonna lie. I definitely won't act like I don't see your concerns. Okay, here are the skeletons once again. Is this the goblin animation? Are you sure? Boy, where is this in game? I don't even know. Crazy. Du bist tot. Yeah, okay. Let's go back. In the original, many creatures had a running attack. They didn't stop before attacking the player. Lucas Oliveira, that's a very good point. I always liked the running animation. You know why? First of all, it was offensive. You know, you immediately know you shouldn't be messing up with this creature. You shouldn't mess with the creature. But then also you could use that to your advantage. Again, we were talking about snappers. What do snappers do? They smell you, they track you, they stalk you, and then when they're in reach, they come running. If you're fast enough, you can turn around. You see that the creature is running, and then what do? You strafe to the side and get the first blood, or at least the first hit. And that was cool. That was really cool. I like that. So you're absolutely on point. I didn't even realize that they're missing this type of attack. It's crazy. Running attack needs to be in the game. I need to write this down, actually. A charge attack? No, not charge, but like a charge. Yeah, like a charge. Enemies should charge. You're right. Absolutely. Thanks for telling me. Okay. Let's go back to the comments. Da-da-da-da. Cyrus says, is a better animation on Axis and on Krushkarok too. Yeah, they all got different animations, which I do like, actually. Like pole arms have different animations than hammers and all that. So in general, it's a good idea. If some animations are better or worse, okay, that's up for you to decide. Another big problem, disaster. Another big problem that you can get stuck when walking on a dead monster model. What if we kill the orc in the doorway? We won't be able to pass. Did that happen? Did that happen? That's crazy. So yeah, the question is, how do you want to do it? It's is there like a small collision box that when you run against a dead enemy that you can, you know, play a little bit around with the corpse? A little bit of physics shenanigans, or is it just deactivated that you can run through the corpse? There's probably this middle ground that I've seen in many other games where it doesn't hinder you from moving forward. That's the way, I think. Chaos King says, everything is too slow. Everything I'm not sure about, but combat, melee combat, is too slow. It's too unresponsive, still. Yes, you're right. Those skeletons look like from biology class. I mean, yeah, that's what a skeleton does look like, right? Look at that, they're screaming at you. Without any flesh to hear the scream. No vocal cords. Nothing. Hey, look at that! Look at that! Can we go back a second? Yes, we can. So it's like... No. That's okay. I thought I saw something, but I was wrong. Snapper is the same way as presented 3 years ago at Christmas when goblins were... Yeah, you're right, Cyrus. You're right, I remember this. They should change their fucking design. I don't want them to have like strange bended beaks. They need to have that huge muscular jaw. That's what a snapper is. Beaks are for scavengers and maybe other creatures, but not snappers. Oh, no. Those snappers are the same as we saw them in the first demo that was released many years ago. Oh yeah, the demo, right? Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're so right. Or am I misremembering now? If you're right, that would be such a big L. I mean, I was talking about reusing assets, but those kind of assets? Brother. Face Commander says, enemies don't move enough. After they run up to you, they don't try to flank you. You won't get situations like original where goblins swarm you like sharks. I mean, not every creature did this. Some did it. Bloodflies did it. Lurkers did it. Humanoids obviously did it. But yeah, I get your point. Now after seeing some of the creatures, I haven't really seen it. So yeah, enemies should strafe more to give you more of a challenge. But that is a problem if melee combat is still unresponsive and not as fast as it should be. Because then it would be unfair. So I think they're kind of balancing it that way. It's weird. Yeah, so this is... Look at that. This is the fucking fireball. And in my opinion, it's really slow. It's hard-hitting. True. But it's a little slow if you compare it to the fireball from Gothic 1 and Gothic 2. So, yeah. Chaos King, you're kind of right. Not everything. But you're kind of right in many regards, especially combat. Everything is a chicken in the remake. Yeah. What's going on? What's going on, Alchemia? I like chickens. I like to eat them. They're also fascinating creatures. They can live without their head for quite some time. I heard about a chicken that lived without its head for, what was it, 1 week? 1 month? Brother. That's incredible, these creatures. Yeah, here's the image of the snapper 3 years ago. Yeah. Enemies try to fight you like they're not in a fight, like they're tired. Exactly. Yeah, they're kind of passive. The AI is a little bit passive. But here's the thing, again, like I said, you need to balance it out. If you have a fair chance of fighting a more active and more aggressive AI, that's good. But if you're not able to do that, because you are too slow in combat, then it's not fair, and it will be more frustrating as it is already to fight and to not hit as fast, right? I mean, let's be real honest. I'll be real honest. The fighting in this game is okay. We will manage to get through the game, right? But the problem is, like they said in the beginning, we want to carry over the spirit of the original game. Then I expect it to be carried over in most aspects of the game. Thematically, atmospherically, musically. That fucking douchebag on the left. I hate him. But also when it comes to the combat, you know? I mean, it's a no-brainer to say ranged combat and magic. That shit's going to be free aim. We don't want to be inspired by that. That's a no-brainer, and everybody wants it to be different, right? But when it comes to the melee combat, bro, you gotta nail it. And this is by far my biggest complaint. Just on a side note, I will make one, I want to say final video about my criticism. Dude, what's going on? What's going on? I'm gonna watch this again. I don't care. One final video, which will be short, where I just address the biggest gripes that I have with the state of the game. Okay. Two-hander feels low range, especially overhead swing and stab puts player in hit range constantly. Yeah, and this is basically why you want to play two-hander. And this is actually nicely done in Gothic 1 and Gothic 2. You might be like, oh, it's an old game, it's probably the same hitbox. No. Range plays a part, and you see many modifications. You see many modifications that actually add like how you call it, like a distance you can cover with your weapon, which is interesting. Your reach, basically. We as players don't have strafe to dodge charge attacks. That's also... Is that true, brother? Do I need to hop into Nyrus damage? No, I believe you. But isn't it possible to strafe while you're focusing an enemy? I think that's possible, right? Do I have to play this demo again? Jesus Christ. Anatomically correct skeleton. Skeletons have no muscles, that's why they're so slow. Yeah, but they got magic. Come on. They got magic. With the AI in the original Gothic seems better than this one. Yeah. I mean, we as fans, we haven't played it that much. We are used to the old system. And when I was talking to Kai on last year's Gamescom, and also when he was on Discord, he said to me, you know, because they're playing this game so much, they get used to it, you know. But we as fans outside of, you know, this developer bubble, we can directly compare it by now. And the difference are just too big. Again, I want to mention that I like how they translated the old combat, the old melee combat into a remake. You got the directional swings. You got even an additional swing, which is like the hard-hitting swing, the heavy attack. I do like this, but it should be tuned to be more in line with, again, the old Gothic, which is fast and visceral, right? And reaction, rhythm, that's all part of it. That needs to be tuned, definitely. Skeletons should rattle bones louder. Oh yeah, I like this. I like this. Because you have that in the original as well. And not just because, you know, nostalgia, but it gives you like this alarming sense of what's going on, right? You're going down a mine shaft or a dungeon, whatever. You hear rattling bones, you know, fuck, it's a skeleton, right? It's basic because they make no sounds. It's their way to announce their approach. Like wolves, they bark, they howl, and skeletons rattle their bones. That's how it was. Why the fireball is so slow? Free Q? I don't know, man. I think faster enemies will just dodge it if they have a rock or something on the path. Yeah. Again, when I was chasing the orc dogs at Gamescom, I missed quite a few of these skill shots. You could say I'm an old fat slob that doesn't know how to fight, and you're probably right. But you know, it's still my opinion that it should be a little faster. They really messed up the snapper design. I don't like that. Big Mango Pots is absolutely right. Cloudlike says, I do think a lot of gamers that aren't fans of Gothic will hate the game because of the combat. Are you talking about the remake or the original Gothic? Dark Souls 3, they had an enemy AI on the player type enemies that could almost always parry and riposte you. That's true. That's true. On the other hand, many people were always wishing for a Dark Souls-like combat. Again, Dark Souls combat is so intricately designed. It's crazy. Like, this is the bread and butter of the franchise, right? It's the combat, man. I wouldn't expect something like this because I also think like that the combat doesn't really fit that much into Gothic. Aesthetically, when you got these ultra Zweihanders and you're doing these large telegraphed swings. Again, Gothic is more fast in that direction. Even if you have like a two-hander you know, put yourself in the position of having a two-hander, you're a master, or even if just a regular fighter. In Gothic 1 or Gothic 2, you press attack, you give the signal, and then it just comes down, you know. Dark Souls would be like, to give, and this is because you need to give your opponent a chance to react in PvP. There's the difference. Is the combat system in Dark Souls great? Fuck yeah, it's great. I love it. There's so many different types of combat animations that could play out depending on the weapon that you use. It's just, again, it's intricately designed. It's a very delicate system. It's great, but should it be implemented into Gothic? It's a clear no from me. Combat should be faster and string attacks more, and micro stuns should be more reliable. Yeah, staggering, exactly. The problem with staggering I see is that, bro, it's hard. Staggering felt like a... I like the stagger in the original games. I don't know if it should be a thing in the remake. Do I need to rephrase the statement? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you should be able to stagger. Yes. In some games, I don't know, oh yeah, it's also like the Souls-like. Not really staggering. Staggering is in Dark Souls as well, but you can also break their stance. Like, if you do a certain amount of damage threshold, your enemy goes down and you can do a special attack, right? This is not what I want. This is not what I want in Gothic. But hear me out. What if there are certain thresholds for certain weapon types that stagger enemies more easily? Like, if you fight with a dexterity type weapon, like a rapier, for example, right? Which is a lightweight one-handed weapon, which is more for cuts in real life, but I don't want to address real life too much right now. It's a lighter weapon. That's what's counting, right? Or fencing swords. It's like a very, very thin blade. You can do damage with that, cuts and slices, sure. But can you stagger an opponent so easily with that? I don't think so. Compare that to having a big-ass axe, a two-handed axe. You should stagger easily, right? So how could you translate this into Gothic? You have a lightweight one-handed weapon. Maybe only every 3 attacks your opponent gets staggered, because you could hypothetically attack faster, but the enemy gets staggered every 2 swings or every swing when attacking with a big axe. That would be my solution. I don't know. Chaos King says once more, we don't need another Gothic 3 where the melee combat sucks, but the graphics are nice. I want to debate one part of your message, which is that the graphics are nice. I'm kind of... Okay, I'm not kind of sick of it. You're right. You're somehow right. The vistas are sometimes nice, but do they speak Gothic to you? Not to me. Not to me, but we'll not talk about Gothic 3 anymore. Until we do. Disaster says, I recommend you check out the official Discord and see what people have said in the feedback channel. A lot of people have noticed what's wrong with the game. Bro, I've been on the Discord channel for a long time, but as a content creator, and now it gets a little bit meta, as a content creator myself, what I do, I try to avoid seeing other people's content and hearing their thoughts or reading their comments on stuff. What I want to do is I want to play the game by myself and come up with my own criticism that I have. Sometimes, you know, I've got the same criticism like the people on the Discord. Sometimes I've got the same criticism like people being content creators just like me. But that's by chance. I don't want to usually get influenced by these things. That's why I only very sparely watched stuff from the Gamescom, because I wanted to get into that shit myself, you know. But I know that they're talking on Discord. I was part of that crowd a while ago, but I've withdrawn myself from you know, whatever is going on the Discord because of these reasons. We need some more music. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's go back. Where's the comments? Cloudlike says, damn, the Arhalos soundtrack is goated. It is. It is. Just a little side note. I really like that they pick up on many motifs that we hear that we've heard in Gothic 1, in Gothic 2, and then they give those soundtracks their own little spin. Dude, I always wanted to make like an episode about the soundtrack, but my musical knowledge doesn't it doesn't suffice. But it would be actually interesting to dig that apart. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a beautiful soundtrack. Pansalt says, once again, if the forest leaves are not one single box, then it doesn't look good. Cyrus says, now skeletons are heesing? Are they like, what? I wonder how they'll approach boss fights in the remake. Yeah, that always has been one of the weakest points in Piranha Bytes history. So I really think they step up their game, right? They bring it up a notch. We saw the, what is it, like the Minecrawler Queen? And we saw that the Minecrawler Queen has fucking, it's like she's got the sluggish bottom body, but then on top she's got like more arms and even wings, like some ants do. And I was like, when I saw this, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this is like a two-phase fight where you destroy the bottom body and she's bleeding out, and then she kind of disengages and goes into her normal form instead of being in the breeding form. You know, I don't know how to describe this. But yeah, multiple phase fights like in fucking World of Warcraft, like in Dark Souls. When you think the enemy is dead, and then boss music again swells and you're like, shit. That's probably, I mean, not for every single fight, but would be cool. Poise damage in DS. Oh, poise damage. Yeah, that's what it's called. In Dark Souls 3, you had to time the hits with the slower weapons better because they could kill enemies in 2 hits. True. Compared to short swords that needed 12 hits or so. Yeah, exactly. You need to balance it. Lol. Which Gothic you like the most and why? Like me, Mango Pots? I like Gothic 1 more for the atmosphere, the setting, the themes. I like Gothic 2 more because of the gameplay. I hate Gothic 3. Chaos King, it's because in Dark Souls the devs had to think about PvP player. Yeah, that's what I said, that the combat was so good. That's a reality. But see, we don't have PvP in Gothic, and I don't want Gothic to be a multiplayer game. Some people want to, you know, play on a Gothic server, but I see it as a purely single player experience. But even that, you know, you need to design a good, you need to have a good combat system. But some aspects of the combat system don't need to be that refined, you know, not that balanced, essentially. Oh god, I gotta reposition myself. They had to double think, even triple think each moves the balance. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cloud-like, before I read your comments, I wanna take a hit from the pipe. Dude, talking like this and streaming is like really good for quitting smoking. When I used to smoke cigarettes, I wouldn't smoke inside, not anymore. So I had to leave, you know, but vaping is like, yeah, you can do it while streaming, but still, you cannot do it all the time. So you guys probably make me healthy. Let me get one more hit, brother. Cloud-like. What I meant with my previous comments is that newcomers to the Gothic franchise will most likely dislike the remake and might not give the game a shot because of the weak combat. Okay. That was also an argument which was true for Gothic 1 because of the clunky controls, not necessarily the combat, but the controls, because you had to press like 3 buttons to pick up an item. It was very unintuitive. It makes sense after you played like an hour or 2 hours. It just makes sense, you know, you put a thing into your focus, you focus that thing, and then you click the button to pick it actually up. It makes sense. But nowadays, you know, there are so many games that just say like, okay, look at an item and click your left mouse button, which is okay. So you gotta go a little bit with the time. But again, this argument could be made for the remake and the original. But that is not to say that it's good as it is, talking about the remake. I mean, we had, you know, the last, I don't know how many minutes we're online, but we talked about this extensively. It needs to change. It needs to be tuned. It needs to be faster. It needs to be more reactive. It needs to be, some hits need to be cancelled. You should be able to cancel your swings mid-swing and then parry. This is what I would like. Okay, Cloudlike says, in my opinion, the devs didn't understand that in the original game teaser from 2019, people hated the combat, not necessarily because it's unlike the original Gothic combat, but because it was plain bad. Yeah, it was a combat system that was basically taken from For Honor, I think that game is called. Never played it, but I don't like the system because it was very passive how you played the game. It was more like, you know, observing where your character, where your enemy is swinging from, and then you correct your swing or you correct your parry into that direction. You change. And I don't want to say that this is inherently a bad system, but it just is not fitting into the Gothic universe, into the Gothic playstyle. The playstyle is very simple. You know, again, once you get into the controls in Gothic 1 and 2, and you understand how it works, it's simple. And it makes sense. And it's good. It's really good. I do think the current combat can be severely improved if they make the animations faster and have the hero do less damage. Yeah, again, you should... I mean, if you're attacking faster, you need to balance it. But yeah, I think you should be able to attack faster. True. Absolutely. I would sign a petition for that. The devs of the original Gothic 1 thought about PvP because they wanted it to be multiplayer, if I remember, with Diablo-type classes. That is true. That is true. But I think they quickly decided that they're going single player, right? Like, this was some early shit from the alpha. I mean, there's plenty of screenshots, but... the question is, would Gothic 1's combat work in a multiplayer environment? Sure, it would. Would it be balanced? That's on a different page, right? I don't know. Mr. Fender, Vertigo, hey, just joined your live. How does the combat movement feel? Is it better as you progress? Again, man, I did this whole episode about it, and it's like melee combat is still unchanged. It still needs to be faster, more responsive. Dude, I'm sounding like a broken record here. But yeah, it needs to be worked on. I don't want to bore the others with the same statements over and over again. But yeah, I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to attack you or anything. It needs work. But if you want, you know, my extended commentary on this, I think you gotta watch this episode from the start. But thank you for questioning about this very important thing. Oh look, it's Nick Fuentes. Yeah, okay. Cloudlike says, Gothic 1 combat for its time was ahead of its time. Compare Gothic 1 combat to Morrowind combat and you'll be shocked. True. Morrowind had a more expansive world with enough quality behind it. That's true. But the combat system And this might be a hot take. I know there's some Elder Scrolls enjoyers out there who watch my stuff. But I want to say the combat in all of the Elder Scrolls games just feels like you're swinging away a fucking wet pool noodle at your enemies. There is no impact. I don't know if it's like the lack of sound design where you hear the cuts or anything, but it's always like you're swinging away whatever weapon you have, and I don't feel it, brother. I don't feel it, brother. And to be quite honest, I think they never really expanded on their fighting system. Like, obviously they did, but not in a fundamental way. Holy shit, bro. I thought there is like, holy crap, look at that. Look at the size of that beast. Look at the size of that thing. I thought this was a... I thought this was a shack. Like a broken down shack where people live in. Crazy. It's huge. But the design of the Shadow Beast is okay, but I wish instead of the spikes, it would have like the big bone plates. It's more simple. This design is like a combination from Arcania and Gothic 3. It kind of reminds me of a porcupine, I don't know. But Cloud, you're very, very right with this statement. Mr. Fender says, also I find the animation for one-handed combat so silly when the hero throws his weapon from the right hand to the left so bad. He kind of does it in Gothic 1 as well, but it feels better. Tormund says AI should be improved. Yeah, we talked about that, definitely. Chaos King, Elder Scrolls combat is like RuneScape combat. It's like just clicking. Face Commander says, true and based. I like it when things are true and based. So basically, Reinhard Pollice made the remake combat look like Morrowind Oblivion combat. No. Dude, to be honest, I don't want to. I'm no shill or anything, but the combat in the Gothic remake so far, I like it better than Elder Scrolls. Really. Again, because you're just swinging at something, and eventually the enemy dies, but you don't feel the combat, you know. It's either shadow or too much stink, dirty animals. Yeah. That Shadow Beast looks really good. Really good. Now I feel even worse about the combat. Hopefully the game itself is good despite the lame combat. Okay. I've talked enough to you guys. Wait. Tormund. So Vertigo, do you think they will massively improve the game till the game releases? Okay, this will be my last statement until we get into the last part of my notes here. I don't think that they will massively improve it. They're too far in production. It releases early 2026, bro. Time is flying. Early 2026. That is not too far off, brother. It's like 4 months. Then we have a new year. Think about that for a second. It's Tempus Fugit, man. Time flies. And there is not enough time to do that. They are probably... I don't know about how to develop a game, but they're right now polishing stuff, you know. Maybe preparing... I don't know, like smaller things. But there is still something to be said about this statement. No, I meant to say that he showcased the game so bad, played it so bad that it looked like Morrowind's combat. Okay, now I get it. Yeah, probably. People have talked about this guy here. He calls himself a Gothic fan, and then of all the people gets invited. I think he had a very nice playthrough for the people who like his style. Like some years ago, he did a Gothic playthrough, and obviously people flocked to it, many Gothic fans. But then I heard that he was playing the Nyrus demo and this demo, and he didn't really know that much about Gothic. Like, I don't want to say he's a fraud, but maybe he's a little fraud. Maybe Gothic 2 will have faster combat. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so let's move on, guys. We have some more things to talk about. 53 people are watching. Good heavens! I thank you so much. I hope you've got some fun, because I surely have fun. Okay, so let's get back to me narrating what happened on Gamescom. I obviously did play the game, only 15 minutes. Then I went out, you know, and they had these little events going on every like 2 hours, I want to say. So I was getting ready for a show. They had cool cosplayers doing their shit on the stage. There were a bunch of people dressed as novices from the sec camp, and they were stomping swamp weed, which was pretty cool. You had a lot of guards going on there. You even had like a mercenary, which was pretty cool. Very nice outfits. And while I was waiting, I met some interesting people. Jesus Christ! First and foremost, I saw Timur, the community manager, and what can I say? Timur, you're a very, very handsome man. He looks like a little bit like a surfer boy, and he is so nice and warm, and we talked quite a bit. And he introduced me to another bunch of people who were basically the Alchemia division based in Germany, like the German chapter of Alchemia, if you will. And then I talked a little bit with these guys, and that was incredible. It was a little bit hard for me to have a normal conversation with these guys, because first, it was way too loud. Way too loud. Again, I was talking about this earlier. They had like mini games in the Gothic area, and they made quite some fuss there, quite some noises. And I couldn't really focus that much on it. But excuse me, guys, if you're watching this, I forgot your names. But essentially, I met the author of the renderer mod for Gothic, who's working at Alchemia. Again, he's part of the Flensburg chapter of Alchemia. It was a great fucking mod. I think everybody uses it. Like if you play, even if you want to play Gothic 1 and 2 vanilla, you gotta put that mod on, because everything looks just better. It's really one of the most essential mods out there. And so we were talking a little bit about this, and as I understood it, dude, I don't even know what a back-end developer does, but I think they were kind of, you know, like the systems, not like designs or anything, but they were. I don't even think that this is back-end development. I'm sorry. I'm slurring my words here. But those were the guys doing systems, or at least doing some of the systems, and I think a little bit about lighting, I remember. So we were also talking about modifications, because one of them was a modder, a mod author nonetheless, and I was asking you a little bit, you know, will we get a mod kit or anything like this? And he confirmed once more that the Nyrus demo and this demo that we're watching right now, the Playground demo, are modifications for the base game. Modding will be possible, but you have to keep your expectations maybe a little low. There are some modifications for Gothic 1 and 2 that change just tiny things. How armors look, for example, you know, a new model for an armor piece or a weapon piece, higher definition. We've seen this, right? This is the smaller mods, or even quality of life mods, but I'm not sure about those. But when it comes to smaller changes, like new armors, that should be possible. I don't want to quote him, but that's how I understood it. Smaller mods will be possible to make. Bigger modifications, we've also seen them. There are many big modifications, like for example Arhalos, which not just introduced many new gameplay systems, like mini games, I want to say, almost, but also not just extended the existing map, but created a whole new map on its own. This is where the problem comes in. We know that the Unreal Engine is a little bit weird when it comes to modding. It's not the easiest thing to mod. Any game that's running on that, you need, I don't know if it's just a time issue that you need more time to mod it, or however, it's not as easy as if you would mod it with the mod kit of back in the day. That's how I understood it. And I'm no modder. I'm not even, you know, into that thing. I play mods, that's cool, but I don't know anything about creating that shit, that stuff. If you would like to change the overworld, for example, let's say you want to extend like the Valley of Mines in the remake in the Northwest, I don't know. It's not very easy to do that. Under weird circumstances, if you're a good modder, it would be possible, theoretically, but you need different types of programs. Again, I don't know. You need to work on with different files or anything like that. But it will be, again, very difficult and not as easy like back in the day. Okay. We need another video because we're still talking about that shit. Thanks, Cyrus, for letting us see something. Okay, so these were the guys from that team, and yeah, it was very fun talking to them. I didn't really pick up on their names, so guys, I'm very sorry. It was a very, very nice. That's the little modding thing, right? Now, the big highlight of the evening was suddenly Reinhard Pollice and Kai Rosenkranz came down from the heavens. No, not from the heavens, but you know, they're pretty busy. They're always doing something. As you can see right now, they're at the GameStar booth. They play the game. They answer shit. But every now and then they come down for the events at the Gamescom Gothic booth, and they will tell a little bit about the game. They will also give you the opportunity to question them a few things. But because there was still some time before the event started, the asshole that I am, being very inquisitive about certain things, I went straight in. And I think Reinhard Pollice was a little bit mad at me because I was approaching, you know, from the background. I was sneaking up on him. I was like, "Hey, Reinhard," and he's like, "Who are you?" And it kind of felt like one of these Gothic dialogues, right? Where you're like, "Hey, you, who are you?" That was pretty okay. And then I told him, you know, I'm the very small YouTuber from last year, and he's like, "Oh yeah, okay." So I was talking a little bit with him, and shortly after that, also the big man himself, Kai Rosenkranz, approached this little gathering of us, and yeah. Obviously, I was talking about the main big things that still haunt me. I said, bros, I really don't want to fuck you up. I don't want to be annoying or anything, but melee combat, it needs working, baby. And they are aware. This is what they say. I don't want to quote, but they are aware, and they're still working on combat. So, at the end of this huge-ass meandering about the Gothic Gamescom experience, you get now the juicy bits. They are aware, and they're still continuing working on these problems, combat-wise. So, then I also tackled the big thing that I was making a video about, I don't know, last week. My message to Alchemia, right? Where I said that over the course of the 3 games, the atmosphere and the themes that Gothic 1 introduced us to were slowly vanishing, and by Gothic 3, they were gone. And because of the statement that Daniel Candil, one of the developers, made. You know, they want to respect the change at maximum. I had this very emotional response to this, and I said, no way. You cannot take an unfinished game like Gothic 3, make it a benchmark or a standard to draw inspiration from. Because my point essentially in that video was like, okay, we all know that Gothic 3 wasn't finished, right? There was pressure on Piranha Bytes. Piranha Bytes had too grand of a vision to actually complete this vision, and it was just very horribly. Everything went very horribly wrong. We all know this by now. There's plenty of people talking about this. And my point was, you know, it's not just the combat that was undercooked. It was not just the quests that were undercooked. It was not just the reputation system and the lack of a guild system that was undercooked. Quite frankly, I think every aspect of the game was undercooked, and that it lacked the essential things that made Gothic 1 and to an extent also Gothic 2 so good, right? And I was heavily focusing on the occult themes, the oppressive and dark atmosphere, and these kind of things, again, that were lost in time. And also Gothic 2 suffered from this. But then Kai told me that I was a little hung up. Essentially, I'm not quoting anybody here because my memory is so bad. But Kai essentially told me that I got a little hung up on the statement that Daniel said. As an artist, he said that, you know, how these things developed back in the day. If you look at these things retrospectively, you know, it's, you know, there's a certain respect that you can pay to these evolutionary changes that the franchise made. And then I don't want to say I got confirmation, but essentially they said that if it will ever happen, that they are working on something like, I want to call it the far future of the Gothic franchise. It will be more in line with Gothic 1 and 2. That's respectable. So let me check this. Oh yeah, I've got two more things. So when Reinhard was a little bit, you know, doing other things, Kai also explained a little bit about how he does music. You know, I wanted to know what kind of equipment he's using, and he told me that he's using like samples, not really synthesizers like I expected. But also that his style of writing music for the remake changed. So some people might find this interesting. I definitely did. Back in the second making of video, I think it was Kai talking about his process of how he composes the music, and he said basically, okay, I split the new tracks into 3 parts. So every track is split into 3 parts, right? You've got the more or less original soundtrack. Then you got some kind of reprising the motive, which is like you change it a little bit up. And then the last third is basically a completely new part that fits into this track, but it's something new, you know. And now his new approach is he's going wild with the soundtrack. So a little more, I don't want to say less organized, but he's taking more freedoms with it. And I'm okay with that. Having you know, like formulas how you make music might make it sound formulaic, but apparently he's not doing that. So oh my god. Yeah, I gotta catch up. I gotta catch up with a fucking chat from time to time. Play the last 5 videos are much better video quality. Dude, it doesn't really. It's just, you know, I'm the center of attention right now. Don't look at those. They're just side pieces. No, it's okay, brother. It's okay. Quality isn't that important right now. I mean, we will watch some more stuff together. I hope this week, because there were some interviews with GameStar, for example, and I wanted to watch those with you. For example, what's going on right now, because they might also have some juicy bits of information for us. And we will watch it in the original quality, which won't be this bad. But let me get back. So we had a few mini games. I fought I want to say I fought a shadow with you know, like LARP swords. I had a little fight that was quite interesting. But then it came to the Q&A, and also a little like how do you say, like a crowd animation where Kai and Reinhard Pollice were asking the crowd how they felt about certain things in the game, in the remake, right? They said like Reinhard was on the right and Kai was on the left, and then they were asking questions. Okay, if you think that the models in the remake are on point, please move to the right or to the left. I can't remember, you know. And then you had a little crowd movement here and there, and some things were expected. For example, yeah, like the design, you know, it's like most people were okay with it. Some people were not okay with it, but that's not interesting. Interesting is when we were allowed to ask questions, especially my question. It was very interesting. No, somebody was asking about the combat, and that was a question that, bro, yeah, we had this question quite a lot actually, and you know, if you wait for 2 hours, you can figure out yourself, or you can even download the fucking game on Steam and figure out yourself. So that was, I don't want to say a waste of questions, because some people don't really put that much. What's going on with the scavenger? He's just running. Because some people don't invest that much time into a game and the news and all that, so I get it. But my question was, I tried to quote myself, but I will fail. So basically what I was asking is Chronicles of Mutana possibly canonized? Will it be official canon? And they said, because of the Marvin redesign, right? Scar and Marvin still look very different, and I thought that the times in the colony made him more wide and a little bit bloated because of, you know, the luxuries like wine and all that. So talking about the redesign of Marvin, aka Scar, I said, you know, now that the design was changed to be more in line with what we saw in Chronicles of Mutana, are you guys planning on something? Do you acknowledge Arhalos? And they said they acknowledge Arhalos every day. They really do like it. But the problem is, if you make it canon, there might have been some decisions the modders made that might conflict the official canon. And because it's so much work to go through every decision made in the mod, it's in this weird state of, is it canon? No, you know, some things might be. And when that was basically answered by Reinhard Pollice, it was Kai who said, well, we can make a challenge or something like this when the game is released. Whoever finds the most references to Chronicles of Mutana Arhalos in the game wins. And there will probably, he said, be many content creators who will make content about, you know, the reference made to Chronicles of Mutana in the Gothic remake. So, and that's basically it. That's all the information that I had. I wanna make it clear, there will be a short video which is basically summarizing all that I have said, condensing it into one message, one last criticism that I have for the game, things that I think are very important. that again, some of them got addressed already by the devs, nonetheless. But this video will come. I don't know what I do first. Maybe that video, or we will watch the GameStar footage first, and we can acknowledge some more of those informations as well. I'm not sure about that. I have to see. But now I'm going back to the chat, and if you've got any questions or anything like that, please go for it. Haut raus. Tormund says, lighting is bad. It's dark. The places that are dark, that are in the shadow, they are indeed dark and shadowy. And the places that are illuminated by the sun are indeed very illuminated by the sun. That's also something that they addressed, you know, in the making of. I think it was the first or second one where they said, yeah, we really want to have this this difference between light and dark. I think it is a daring approach in nowadays video game industry, because what many people nowadays, many devs, what they do is like, oh, we want the game to be accessible. You see, you know, I'm a Warcraft nut, right? Back in the day, they had Dark Knights. Obviously not as dark as in the Gothic remake, but they were dark. And then at some point they said, oh, when people can only play in the evening hours or at nights because of their work, they also need to be able to view the whole scenery around you, which was absolutely doable before, but then they changed it. And now basically, if you're in the depth of night in World of Warcraft, it looks like day. This is shit. This is shit. There is an argument to be made for accessibility. Sure, I get it. But this is a role-playing game, right? And so often we have games that have a day and night cycle, but does it affect your gameplay? No. Hell no. But this is the first time in years that I saw like an excellent night. When you play Gothic 1 or Gothic 2 with the renderer, and it begins to rain, it begins to... And it's dark, you know, it's in the night. You have problems to see. And the only light source when you're out in the wilderness is your torch. And this is what I see when looking at the remake. And that's why I say, yeah, bravo. It's what it is. Will you be attacked by things out of the shadows? Yeah, sure. Will you die? Yeah, sure. Is it possible that you cannot really make out certain items in the dark? Sure, but that's what you got a torch for, right? So maybe, and this is again having options, maybe there is an option to light it up a little bit to make it, you know, a little more accessible. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. But as it is right now, I do like it. So let's go back. Cyrus, better video quality. Yeah, about that. What do you think the game looks now after the demo with day and night and changing weather? It looks great, brother. We saw some footage actually, and I was hyped to see it. There is one situation. It was from a trailer where you were running around the forest and there was a huge thunderstorm. It was raining and it was windy and all that, and then there was like a huge flash of light. You know, lightning was illuminating the sky, and that felt so fresh. That felt so good. I like it. Scavenger running from the snapper is amazing, he says. Is that sarcastic? Morats running from wolves. I believe it will be canon, and I think we will have a lot of connection to it in the remake, like wines or grapes from Arhalos. Yeah, true. I mean, basically what Kai told, not just me personally, but it was a crowd of people he told that. That, you know, there will be more connections to Arhalos. Again, will it be 1-for-1 fitting into the head canon, into the canon, into the official canon? No. But they will take some jabs at the modification and say, hey, yeah, you know, there's this island and there is this mountain called Arhalos, and things happened there, and some people might have been there. Just taking a look at the redesign, they would have never redesign Scar's model looking so much more than Marvin if they said, you know, this game is not canonical. So Arhalos is acknowledged, not canon. Best option in my opinion. Yeah, I think also because, like, just going into the technicalities of it. In Arhalos, you have two possible endings, right? The secret one and the official one that most players will achieve. But just having two options in a video game for an ending will make it hard to acknowledge at least one of them in the next game of the series. So you will always have a decision that doesn't make sense, right? I think Witcher does it kind of okay because you can take your save games into the next game, which will, your decisions will be acknowledged, which is crazy good. Some people said they want this for Gothic, and hell yeah, I'm all up for it, bro. I'm all up for it. Cyrus Resnick, that's what I'm saying 100% correctly. Direction from Reinhard regarding Arhalos. Yeah, I think it's good. It's cool that you got to talk to people who actually work on the game. Was your feeling overall positive about the way they're talking about the game and their approach to the development of the game? Yeah, they were positive. Like, they always seem to be in a good mood. The only person where that I cannot really read that good, like I'm not, I sound like an empath from Star Trek, no. But the only person that kind of seems to be stressed out a little, or the person who can not really hide it that well, I don't know what is the case, but it's totally understandable. This person is Reinhard. He is the head of the studio. He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, and imagine you're that guy. You know that it might be a hit or miss, right? And then there's like little stupid idiots like me having the nerve to come up to you in that position and to talk shit about your project, you know. Again, I don't want to talk shit. It's like my honest criticism about the game. I want it to succeed, but it's just like you don't, after a fucking day of being on meetings, being not at home, being somewhere else, being interrogated by tons of people, being questioned by tons of people like myself, by fans and whatnot. It can be cool, you know, for a few hours, but having Gamescom, it's really stressful for those guys. So, Reinhard, if you see this is no personal attack, dude, I get you. I get you. But yeah, most of the guys were really relaxed. They were really positive, even when talking about some of the things that I saw more potential in, like combat. They acknowledged it. And also, you know, when we were talking about modifications, they were like, yeah, sure, but because Gothic lived on for so long and still lives on is because of the modifications, you know, and this is something that they need to get right. So they're not depressed about it. They were not dismissive or anything like that. It was the vibe was good, brother. To be more Zoomer-esque. Also, just to digress a little, what are your thoughts on about the tabletop game Shadows Quest, bro? I don't give a fuck. No, seriously, I'm not too much into tabletop stuff, but I like that Gothic is expanding. Before the Gothic remake, where did you get like supplementary material, merchandise? Nowhere, right? It was like maybe a t-shirt at Piranha Bytes, I don't even know. And now you got mugs, you got, oh. You got things like this, baby, which was a gift from Timur, the community manager. Can I get it out? Oh, I don't want to rip it out. So this is basically a belt buckle. I'm sorry. And Kai wore this, and he lifted his shirt, and the crowd went wild. It was really crazy. So it's a very cool thing. I think you can buy it on the shop. Obviously, they got more stuff. And when it comes to tabletop games, you know, I'm not the person to buy this kind of merchandise, but I like that they are expanding. You need to have this. This is like bread and butter for today's gaming industry, you know. People always like to find communities to identify with. You're injecting brands into yourself, either actively or passively. It's just the human nature. We want to belong to a certain camp, right? And merchandise is like, you can get, you know, there's maybe indie games where you cannot get merchandise for, but when talking about Gothic, it's about time to have merchandise, brother. It's really good. So thank you again, Timur, for this. Kisses. Yeah, it's really cool. And to have more shit like that. Yes. Oh my god. I love this shit. I love this shit. It's good. It's good for the people. You know, if you're a fan, you want a T-shirt of your favorite metal band with those fucking twigs on it that nobody can read. You want that. You want to identify with something. Tabletop, sure. Sure. Okay. Okay. Let's try to get into it once more. Okay. In my opinion, the biggest light problem is on the torches on the ground now. As if it lights up too much when it's down compared to when it's in the hand, and shadow problem on it. Okay. I get what you say, but it also kind of makes sense, right? The light, if the torch is in, in the ground, Cyrus, I will once more show some stuff. If you throw the torch into the ground, it radiates the ground, and it radiates once again from the ground into your eye, right? So it kind of makes sense that there is a bigger light effect. But it's a little strong. I can see that. It needs a little bit of... This is what I would consider very small nitpicking, in my opinion. Since models were mentioned, I'm more worried about General Lee model. Yeah. This is what I... Dude. Most models I'm okay with. Ian looks great. Like the four friends, they look great. Gorn should be, you know... I hope they gave him some more muscles. But Gomez, in my opinion, and General Lee, they're off. Gomez doesn't look like Gomez. He had a very, very characteristic face shape. It's almost triangular. He's got the mustache. He's got like, you know, the pieces of grayish hair. That was him. He had a you know, a strong nose, a big schnotz. He looked like a hawk. The new model doesn't give me this impression. And General Lee should be more seasoned. There are fan edits out there that in my opinion are way better. He looks too young, too inexperienced, and he looks dirty, which I don't understand. As a former general, you should have this sense of outer appearance and prestige, you know. As a general, you wanna... That's how I imagine it, that your uniform is in a proper quality. You want to tend to your armor, to your swords, that it's always in best shape. And to me, him being so dirty in his face looked like he just crawled out of the fucking of the free mine, you know, being drunk from the tavern, drinking rye schnapps and just, you know, falling face over into the mud or whatever. Not so cool, brother. Okay, let's read more comments. Oh, generally, yeah. Gothic 1 was perfect because the main goal was escaping the barriers, so that gives an ending everyone agrees with. Gothic 1, 100% originality. True. I mean, it's kind of taken from... I mean, they got inspired by a few things, you know, but I think the story was really good. Gothic 2 was 50% originality. Yeah. It's lost it has lost its bite. When I say this, I'm not saying that Gothic 2 is a bad game. Please don't put these words in my mouth. I think still I have played more Gothic 2 than Gothic 1. Here it is. Because the gameplay is just better. But if some of these things that I'm talking so often about got carried over into Gothic 2, I don't know if it would be the same quality of game like Gothic 1 in those, talking about those things. But I would like Gothic 2 even more. Yeah. Okay, still got some time. Captain Breakfast, welcome. Please don't say that about yourself. At the end of the day, you're a customer and they're building a product for the customers. It's not your fault if feedback needs to be anything else other than that positive. Yeah. Nikuyo, hey man! What up? Nikuyo is a beautiful human being that I also met. There is Gomez. That I met at the Gothic booth, and we had some nice chats. Yeah, let's take another look. Another that edit though. There he is, like that goatee. He doesn't seem to have that triangular face shape. I was criticizing the lack of grayish hair in this particular shot, but I think somebody who's one of the devs told me that it's just because of the light that you cannot see the gray hairs. But it's the face shape. I don't know. There is something off. Okay. Let's move on. Coxie, greetings, man. 75 viewers. Oh my god! My head is about to explode. Hello, guys. You're pretty late, but you can watch this again, right? Thank you all for watching. Hello, everybody. At the end of the day, they need people like you to help them follow the essence of Gothic. You see, I don't want to gatekeep. Sorry, Coxie. My hype for the remake is like 0%. You can't be disappointed if you don't have any expectations. Dude, this is how I live my life. I've got experience in that. But it's hard to talk about Gothic, a game that I'm looking so fondly up on. It's like a part of my life. That sounds so fucked up, computer game being part. But yeah, you know what it is. You're young. You're having, the first time going into these worlds, and you have beautiful experiences in those worlds. And I remember it, playing Gothic 2 for the first time. That was around a few months later after it got released, and it was winter, and I got a new computer or something like that, and running around Xarda's new tower in Korean. Dude. Magic. And yeah, but Captain Breakfast, what you said, sometimes I think I sound a little bit gatekeepy. That is, gatekeeping is basically, correct me if I'm wrong, but when people say, you're the wrong person for this type of fandom. You are not liking it the way you should like it, for example. And that sounds arrogant and stupid, but sometimes I think that there's many, many different fans out there. Sometimes there are fans that are like me, who really think about the game, who really invest time into these things, digging into older material. And dude, I'm not even the craziest guy out there. There's like thousands of other people who really go into like every minute detail of the Gothic development, of the alpha version, of the beta version, of the original drawings. I mean, we took a look at the Gothic archives. There's 2 videos where I'm looking at the very early stuff, and they know everything about it. But I think the way I understand the franchise, the essence, again, I don't want to sound gatekeepy, but because I think about all these kind of things, and also there's people out there who are thinking very, very big about these type of things. Like the normal fan who played the game like 2 or 3 times. When this person hears like me saying, for example, oh, Gothic 3 is shit, I don't like it, the style is not good. They're like, what? Gothic 3 was okay. But I promise you, if I sit down with these people and talk get them a little bit more into like the nitty-gritty of things and how Gothic lost its meaning, actually, you know, the name Gothic, what does it stand for? You know, old buildings, grim and dark fantasy. There was a period in time that was named after this, and look into it. And if you compare it then to Gothic 3, there is no Gothic about it anymore. So I think the changes that I would rather not make, they do make sense objectively, right? But with that said, I'm probably not the best gatekeeper, but I think to a certain degree gatekeeping is important. Shaming is important. Social shaming. I might make myself to a fucking outcast or whatever right now, but some franchises should... I put it this way. Many of our beloved franchises are got overtaken by people who simply don't really like the games. And then they shape, like developers, new fresh developers coming into a franchise, and then they shape this game into something that is not. There is a controversy surrounding Witcher 4, for example, that I'm part of. I think there is reason to say I am not sure about Cyrilla being the main character. Just as an example, there's people coming into franchises like World of Warcraft that just changed the game into something that it never has been and make it more like a Final Fantasy, right? With all those cutesy, fartsy, shitty transmogs and mounts and all that kind of shit. Like, you lose your soul. That's essentially what it is. And in these situations, I wish there was more gatekeeping, telling those people, bro, Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft is World of Warcraft. You can make your own iteration on an idea that was implemented in Final Fantasy, for example, and Warcraftify it. You know, you change the idea so it fits into World of Warcraft, but you should not lose the essence. You should not lose what makes it special, the uniqueness. And that's what I feel what happened to the Gothic franchise, right? And I'm speaking up about it. I'm not saying, you know, fuck off, this is my fandom. Who am I to decide this? But I also want you guys to know that there is a certain group of people that to me seems like they are sucking up everything. And they're vehemently arguing against any type of criticism. I can say that if you have criticism, but you phrase it actually poorly, that's on you, you know. But you should criticize. You should be loud, but not loud. But you should have constructive criticism. You should pinpoint out what is wrong in detail, and that's the way to go. How can anything improve without it ever being criticized? There are many systems also in the real world that need criticism, even more so today than ever, that are just horribly, you know, wrong. These systems went into very horrible and wrong direction. Let's speak of taxes, for example. Hey, should I just take it? I go for work, I slave my fucking ass off, and my government takes like 50% taxes for the streets, for the infrastructure. Dude, I'm sitting here in a first world country. I still don't have what is it called? Fiber optics. You know, I still have DSL. Imagine that. But we're digressing very far. I think again to talk a little bit about to condense it into one thought. I think a little gatekeeping is good. People should get into the nitty-gritty of things and kind of not just superficially glance over fandoms to say, oh yeah, that's what it is. No, it has changed quite a bit. Is that a good or a bad decision? I think sometimes it's really bad. Most of the times, actually. Okay, damn. I'm bringing 100 awesome people. Koga. Greetings, Koga. Thank you guys. I was on a rant. I didn't even notice. Gorn got a unique character build. Oh yeah. Hi guys, everyone who's watching. Gorn got a unique character build. I don't know. I haven't. I think there were some differences actually. Oh, by the way, I let this run in the background. Gomez looks like older Gomez from Adam's Family. Joking. Yeah, a little bit. Jens Jensen. Jens Jensson. Moin. Moin zurück. Gomez jumpscare. Yeah. That really got me. Hey man, love your videos. Dude, I love you too. Atale Matteo. Yeah. Matteo. Fuck. Does YouTube have rates too, just like Twitch? Yeah, apparently they do. Scarface says Kai loves it more than any one of us. Yeah. Face Commander, the face when you gatekeep so good that you put Thoros out of your job. Out of his job, yeah. Look at me, I'm the Thoros now. That's why Gothic 3 remake has so much potential. It surely has. They have free reign. At Gamescom I told them, you know, do whatever you like, man. Take like I think it was even Kai who said this. Oh yeah, that's something that I forgot. When I was talking about the atmosphere and stuff like that, I think one of the guys said, "Oh, you mean like you mean like we shouldn't respect what should we do with Gothic 3?" And I was like, "Yeah, kick it away," you know. And then Kai said, "Yeah, probably, but we can still take like city names and cities and like the overall map or whatever." And I said, "Yeah, sure, do that, but the core of it, brother, not really." Wasser says, "It is true what you're saying, man." Cyrus says, plus. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. But everybody has their own opinion, please. You guys talk deeply about the new stuff, what was seen in the Gamescom. Deeply, yeah. I had a limited amount of insight, but yeah, we've been going for a while now, and I talked extensively about what I've heard and what I've seen. Face Commander says toxic positivity crowd. Yeah, I don't like them. I think that's a wrong approach. You need discourse. You need balance. You need adonos in your life. You need to have compromises, and you also need to acknowledge if something is if you're going astray. You know, it's like your best friend. You know, he's a good dude. He's living the normal life, and suddenly he's like taking heroin, and he's losing his job. He's losing his wife. Are you like, yeah, man, it's good. It's just the progress, nice. Or you try to talk to him and say, bro, you lost your way. That's a very flawed comparison, but, well. Yeah, almost deep, Vertigo had 5-4 points on his list that talk about after the Gamescom experience, yeah. In general, I totally agree. That's why I'm glad we get 2 demos and a lot of options to give feedback for the remake. Comrade Clippy drops in. Vertigo says gatekeeping is good. Seems like I have to skip back. Okay. Today the Mafia boss outfit. Vertigo. Yeah. Comrade, just to be clear, you know, a little bit of gatekeeping is good. But you're totally entitled to your opinion. But what I really want for all fandoms is constructive criticism and not just, you know, the one who talks the loudest is right. That's not how it works. If you've got good opinions, you structure your criticism in a good way, and if you think about your criticism, that's how you do it. And then you can find whoever likes your opinion more, right? Captain Breakfast, so well pointed out. Too many franchises got ruined by people that do not respect the knowledge and passion of people who devoted so much time on that universe. Bro, this is something, you know, Lord of the Rings, I know the 6 movies, the fucking originals, which were great, you know, and then you have The Hobbit, you know. But if I'm like, oh, I feel like this and that in the world of Tolkien is bad or anything like this, or I really like it, how the movie portrayed it. And then there is somebody who has really in-depth knowledge about the universe, who read all the books, who read the Silmarillion and all that, and he's like, actually, you know? It's not the way in the original. And then that makes me think, you know, as somebody who's kind of, you know, I like the franchise, but who's kind of outside the franchise. That's where I'm like, yeah, I gotta give you credit because you know shit, right? Oh, where are we? Oddly enough, those people that are basically subject matter experts are also wondering if they are gatekeeping and tiptoe around to not criticizing too much. Yeah, I see myself in that direction as well, because sometimes people, I think they want to intentionally misrepresent you. I had people calling me a fucking shill. I had people calling me like, I don't like any change. I'm a purist. Like completely misdirected criticisms on my person. I've got my own opinion. I'm a little bit of a purist. I'm a little bit of somebody who wants something new. It needs to make sense in the context of the game. That's where I speak my mind. I don't like Diego's face. I think that is not a good design. I don't like the snapper design. I do think the Bloodhound design is great. Yeah. I like Xardus' design. I like that. Sure. I have different opinions. Some stronger, some not as strong. The companies really need to treasure and reward people like you more. Nah, I don't think that. If you do good work, you know, you eventually get rewarded. But I don't want to be a spokesperson for such a huge fandom. If you flock to my videos because you share my antics, if you share my opinions, that's cool, we can talk about it. And even if you don't do, we can discuss it. That's what I like. For anyone who doesn't know yet, Matthias Keller is on board again for the dialogues. Oh, that's cool. Oh, cool. So you talked to Kai and Reinhard at Gamescom? Yeah, I did. What else did they say? Bro, if you want to know more, please watch the video on like 1.5 speed. Skip through it. I don't know when I talked about this. It's in the later part of the video, but yeah, I don't want to reiterate this again because it takes a lot of time. But some of my points of criticism were addressed. Sorry, someone new here. Did you guys talk about the remake? What do you think until now about it? Vertigo, maybe you guys talked already about this. Indeed, we have. We also talked about Gothic, yeah. I think it's good. It needs some work. More work in some places than others. There's obviously with every franchise where you can nitpick everything, but I think the essential problems I made clear. Combat, AI. Yeah. Let's stay with those two. Comrade Clippy. Oh, I was more like, seems like I'm lacking context here. Oh, I'm sub because I find myself agreeing with you a lot. Yeah, that's cool, man. Tormund. Now the focus shifted fully on combat AI and animations. It's not about art direction anymore. Yeah, like I said, you know, this little talk that I had with Kai and Reinhard at the end of my Gamescom experience was kind of reassuring in how I... You know, the fears that I had were kind of... They're not completely taken away from me, but I am soothed. I am more calm after they told me that, you know, they want to focus... If they're ever going to continue the franchise, they're focusing more on the style of Gothic 1 and Gothic 2. That's essentially it. Comrade Clippy. I also agree with the first thing you see when you go to Arrowhead's website. A game for everyone is a game for no one. Suppose that touches upon the light gatekeeping theme. Yeah, it is. It is. You see, dude. Vertigo, seems we had the same experience with it too. You also talked to them? That's cool. Did they talk about optimization performance at all? Bro, no. I haven't asked a question about this. It's actually a reasonable thing to ask about, but... Yeah. About the gatekeeping, here comes the food analogy, you know, because everybody can relate to food. Let's say you open up a burger restaurant, right? And you, for some reason, make really good burgers. It's like they're simple, but they're good. It's either the meat that you get from the butcher, it's either the patties that were baked in the local bakery. I don't know what it is. People like your burgers, and it's like word of mouth that goes around, and more people come to your burger shack and they want to devour those tasty burgers of you. But at some point, you've become bigger. You say, hey, I want to expand on the menu that I have. And you sway away from burgers, and you do schnitzel, and you do bagels, and I don't care, sandwiches. You change your fries to be more healthy. I don't know, something like that, you know. And then people notice, and they won't leave right away because they're still having this mindset, the feelings, the nostalgia for your burger joint, right? They still want to come, but you don't know when enough is enough, so you change your menu more and more, and suddenly you're going the very healthy route, and you're like all up for healthy foods, and you abandon your meat, you go like meatless or whatever, those weird patties. You know, sometimes they taste actually really good, but you were known for the fucking patties for a regular burger, and then you change so much. And in the later stages, you alienate your core customers so much that they will just leave. And this will happen to every single franchise. In come the suits, the analysts, the people who are basically running the development of the game. The guy who give you certain directions because they analyze the market and they want to expand the product for more people. Like how can you make more money as a corporation? It's either to sell more units of your product or to get rid of the people working for you, because the human element in corporations is the most expensive. That's why we see regularly huge amounts of layoffs when it comes to development teams, right? Whole sections, whole departments in a country outside of the main corporation, they get eliminated, and that's when the game suffers quite a lot. Quality goes down the drain. There's no beta testing anymore. You got DLCs announced before the game is even having a release date and all that kind of shit. You know how the industry is, right? But again, to find back to the original statement, if you alienate your core customers too much, if you want to include more and more people, how you said, you will make a game for no one. If you want to include more and more people, you need to water down certain aspects of the game. You got to implement certain aspects like quality of life that nobody wants in a Gothic game. Here's a minimap, here's this, here's that, here's a timer, and what else? Here's focus aiming, assisted aiming, and all that kind of shit. We don't want this. Gothic gamers are a really, really special kind of breed. We are old school, we like it rough, we don't need all that polish in some areas, you know. We want the rough atmosphere. And we're not like, I don't know, like Elder Scrolls people. Like, I'm not saying that you can either like Gothic or Elder Scrolls. They're parallels, obviously, you know. But this statement rings completely true. It is true. And the problem is that everybody knows it, but not the people who are actually in charge. The suits, the people for the marketing, they don't know it. They still think this is the best way to make money. Bro, I tell you this one story. I tell you this one thing about Dark Souls. Dark Souls failed horribly in the beginning, when it was Demon Souls, obviously, you know. Then Miyazaki came in and he kind of had the right ideas. And suddenly the word spread online and forums that this game is hard. And it became kind of a challenge thing. And people got interested. Still, in the days of internet where everybody's connected, it was still word of mouth spreading. And suddenly it became a bigger thing. Bigger than they have expected. Because? Why is that? Well, because the Souls formula is very I don't want to say they reinvented the wheel, but it's very strange, you know. It strays away from the open world RPG formula that we have. You have the checkpoint system. The coins that you earn are also used for leveling up and stuff like that. Visceral combat, very huge build variety, like massively huge, extensive build varieties, because you have tons of weapons, tons of armor pieces and all that kind of shit, but also because the story is so peculiar, right? Like the characters are very odd. You had a very weird sense of graphics, atmosphere. It's also grotesque and bizarre at times, you know. And suddenly, you've got a huge ass crowd for Dark Souls. Did Dark Souls change? Well, Dark Souls 2 changed quite a lot, but then they went back to the original formula with Dark Souls 3, right? And then eventually Elden Ring, and it becomes this enormous thing, a big ass name, and now they're making a fucking movie about Elden Ring because they stayed true to themselves. And they said gamers first. Product first, gamers first, you know, we don't care about how many copies we sell. Okay, let's read one last time the chat. Vertigo seems we had the same experience with the two. Oh yeah, did you same combat was more pressing. Gothic 3. Also, kudos on catching the detail with Lee being dirty. Your point that the discipline of the rank would never allow such physical appearance. I genuinely hope that they will change the detail. Yeah, sure. I mean, that is a no-brainer, actually. You'd be a good tester. Maybe. There was a mercenary at Gamescom, and we tried to talk Reinhard into making his face for Lee. And we tried to talk Reinhard into making his face for Lee would be more. Oh yeah, actually yes. The guy looked good. You know what who he reminded me of a little bit, like an older version of Nikolai Coster-Waldau, who played Jaime Lannister, like a more brutish version of him. I really like this guy, and he looked more. This cosplayer looked more than Lee, than Lee in the remake actually. Just wondering if there is any cut content or specific quest line you look forward to in the remake. I personally hope to see a full old camp quest line till the end of the game. That would be too much of a cut into the main storyline, to be honest. Cut storylines or cut content, there's plenty of those, and I'm still hoping that we're getting a proper Orc City, like, you know what I'm talking about, the Orc City from the beta, and some other smaller places that I like to see outside. Also maybe bro, my brain is gone. My brain shut off. It shut off. What? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Back at it. Yeah, some smaller things in the game that were cut, you know, definitely. Bigger things that got cut, like the Orc City, I would like to see that, but there is no confirmation. We know that the abandoned mine got its way back into the remake. It will also be bigger than in the Nyrus demo. We got confirmation of that. There is an underground section which is filled with water, just like in the original. That will be cool. But so deep cuts into the story, like being able to join the old camp until the end, the story is in the way. And that is a thing that I criticized about Gothic 3, where you've got so much freedom that the narrative suffers. You know, it's like suddenly you can be part of the orcs. It's like, dude, you know, I'm on the side. Orcs shouldn't be all evil and all that. You should be diving deeper into their culture, and maybe you find a few, you know, friendly ones. But being part of the Orcish horde to basically raid the king to get rid of the forces of Innos, that doesn't make sense of me. for me. That doesn't make sense for me. To me, bro, I'm really losing my my thoughts here. I'm sorry. It's a little bit late, and I didn't have anything to eat. I only had some breakfast, but I'm starving. So that's probably yeah, why I'm so fucked up. But yeah, again, there's some things that I like to see. There are some things that I'd rather not see. You know, not everything that was that's also very important. Listen, not everything that is cut content is automatically good, right? That's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. But they had some really good things planned, or things that they eventually cut, that are fucking interesting. That they would not just work, but also fit. And would also have implications when it comes to world building, right? We talked to Tarok, we talked to Urshak. These are the two orcs we can talk to. It's a very brief kind of change of perspective into their culture. Our first little look into what they're about. And then it's all like visual storytelling, you know. We know they're kind of feral, but they also have a deep-rooted culture, you know. We see things here and there. But what an orc city, a proper orc city, like you can find it in some modifications like New Balance. I don't like that mod, but it is what it is. Like the way how they sleep, the way they have a social structure in the colony. We don't really see that. There is no like warlord or anything like that. They have shamans, and they're kind of very integral to the Sleepers plot and its story, sure. But a proper orc city would make sense. First and foremost, you have a place where you should go to look for a key into the Temple of the Sleeper. It shouldn't be like, imagine you need to look for the key into the Sleeper Temple. Where is it? Oh, it's just in front on that fucking statue over there. Or you go into that cave and take a teleport spell? Come on, bro. They should have a little more sense than that. So, what is the best opportunity to introduce a proper location for, you know, the key into the temple? It's in a fucking orc city, the center of their culture in the Valley of Mines. Also, you can create world building with it. But also you can give a reason for what happens in Gothic 2 later on, because there are so many orcs. They didn't just all come by ship. Not all of them. It is said that some of them came from the mountains. And I like to imagine that this orc city, in my headcanon, it's somewhere underground in the mountains of the Valley of Mines. And this is where also tons of orcs came from onto the surface into the Valley of Mines to fight the mercenary, the paladin forces. That's my headcanon. Will we see an orc city? I don't know. I don't think so. But that would be really cool. Christian Rabe says, hi from Germany. Hallo, mein Freund. Wie geht es dir? Moin. Moin, moin. I feel like they will try to make the orcs different from the original to not have a break in Gothic 3. Oshak is goat. Graphic is nice. Unreal 5. Yeah, it's in general, yeah, it's good. It's good. I hate the orcs in Gothic 3. They're so different. They're demystified. They're not feral. They're idiots, bumbling idiots. Yeah. So, guys, I'm really talking so much that my throat is fuzzy. And I'm going to end the stream right now. I thank you all for watching. It was a beautiful time, a beautiful little talk that we had. Expect some more content. I want to say either this week and or next week. We want to watch some of these interviews from GameStar. It's this German magazine, gaming magazine. Maybe they've got some nice infos. We are taking a look at that also in a live format, and then expect me doing a smaller video where I condense all the information, or not all the information, but where I condense all my criticism into one video. And this is maximum 10 minutes. I'd be more happy if it's like 5 or 6 minutes, tops. Just, you know, directed at Alchemia, and I hope that they watch it and that they get some ideas of what I think about it and what you guys maybe think about it. Got to go, but it was nice to be here. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching, Vladel. Comrade Clippy, time to skip to the beginning and watch all of it. Cheers, dude. Cheers! Tormund, I want more scripted content, not only live. Yes, yes. But scripted content takes a lot of work. You gotta record, you gotta write a script, you gotta record your voice, you gotta edit your voice, you gotta get footage. This is the most horrifying part of making YouTube videos, actually. So if you want to help with that, maybe we get some more videos out there. No, I'm not bribing anybody, but it's just, I hate taking footage in game. I hate setting up scenes. I hate it because it takes so much time. Writing scripts is okay, editing a video is okay. Bro, if somebody would give me footage, and this is, you know, I'm okay with doing it myself, but I would pump out more videos, definitely. I'm here waiting for the next video, yeah. Thanks, Cyrus. Also thank you for the footage, that we had something to watch while I was talking. Captain Breakfast, thank you for this great chat. Keep up the good work. Yeah, I think all of you, 60 people still watching, we're at the end. This is so fucking amazing, man. This is so good. We also made quite some subscribers in the last few days. Obviously, I had my period of drought where I wasn't really doing much because real life. But now I'm feeling it's going again, brother. But also live content, I don't want to abandon this because there is still a Gothic 2 playthrough, and I really like to do that live, actually. I was asking about, you know, when you guys would watch it. Most people said around 7, 8, 9, which is cool, and we'll probably do that in time. Yeah. So, thank you all for watching. We are going to end the stream. You are the kings, the MVPs. Thank you all. See you down the road. Bye-bye.